Therapy Talk with Tammy and Pauline. We are bringing you a special Christmas edition of Therapy Talk. We are going to be looking at a movie. But while you're here, hit like and subscribe. Watch our stuff because you'll like it. Pauline, what are we going to do today?
We are going to do one of the weirdest things I would say I've done as a clinician, which is psychoanalyze a character from a movie. So who is this character? Character is Buddy from the movie Elf. This is Tammy's favorite movie. And so I said, okay, I've never watched it. Let me do this thing. So I did. And so what is psychoanalyze? That's basically just a big word to describe us basically examining a character and identifying what symptoms it might be experiencing. Because in this book, it's a book of symptoms and diagnoses. And before we formulate any diagnoses of any sort, we need to identify symptoms. So stick to the end of this episode because Tammy and I will come up with, if any, some diagnoses of Buddy. So
yeah, yay, I'm sorry, I'm so excited. So let me give you an overview of this movie. So if you've not watched this movie, this is going to be a big spoiler alert. So there you go. So you've been warned. So perhaps one of the most likable things in this movie is his childlike, innocent demeanor. It's my favorite thing about Buddy. He is very optimistic almost throughout the whole entire movie. But he also has this weird fascination for Santa. Oh my God.
Santa's coming to town. Santa! Oh my God!
And he has a bigger love for all things Christmas. So he goes from a baby in an orphanage to an elf in training to a man-child elf struggling as trying to be a man, trying to fit into the human world. He goes to New York to find his dad and to like reconnect with his dad. And his dad doesn't want anything to do with him. And this really makes Buddy spiral a little bit. Buddy feels like he doesn't belong in New York. And at the end of the movie, we start seeing Buddy looking into the river. And I'm like, Buddy, don't jump. That ruins a movie. That'll just be a whole nother movie, Pauline. But he doesn't jump because just at that moment, Santa plummets from the sky. Buddy rushes to see him and they are reunited.
And it feels so good.
And they save Christmas. And the best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear. And Jovi, his little girlfriend, starts singing a robust Santa Claus is coming to town. And even the most cynical man, which is Buddy's dad, who was on a naughties list, he starts singing. The Clausometer goes out of control, and Buddy swoops in the sky to go deliver presents to all the little girls and boys. It's just a wonderful movie. I love it.
Yeah. It's overwhelming hearing how excited you are about this movie.
I know, it's so awesome. I'm so excited.
It's a very famous movie, and yeah, this was my first time watching it. And so can we begin from the very beginning of Buddy's origin? Let's do this thing, because with psychoanalyzing, we have to start from the beginning of a person's life.
Absolutely. So the scene opens up with baby Buddy. He's in an orphanage, and then I think a nun is like tucking him in, and he doesn't have any clothes on. So my first thought when I'm dissecting this movie is that this poor little baby only has a diaper and a pair of socks on. Like, who are these people? They're running an orphanage. They're not properly clothing these babies. I mean,
it must have been warm in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one thing I noticed is, okay, so Santa comes in, and first of all, no diss on Santa, but a diss on Santa. You can't just roll up into somebody's house, well, you can, and just go for the cookies and milk, right? And at the same time, in doing that, Buddy crawls into Santa's bag, and Santa picks up this bag without noticing a weight change. Like, okay, negligence.
That's funny. Well, speaking of that, so again, going with Santa. So Santa can fly around the world in one night. He fits down chimneys. He eats cookies all night long, and he can make reindeer fly, and he knows who nice, who nice. How does he not have an appropriate home for Buddy? How does he not, again, going back to what you said, Pauline, how does he not freaking know this baby's in his bag if Santa knows when you've been sleeping and he knows when you've been awake? That puzzles me.
That's deep.
as deep as that Santa bag. So speaking of the Santa bag, so apparently, you know, he goes back to the North Pole. It's the end of the night. He's like, celebration, elves. We just got another year down the road, but we're going to start working again for next year, which is weird. They don't even take a break or a holiday. But Buddy crawls out of this bag, and people are like, oh, his name must be Buddy.
What in the name of Sam Hill is that?
Little Buddy diapers.
His name is Buddy.
Because of the Buddy diapers? What if it was Pampers? Pamper the elf? What if it was Huggies? And I'm old. I don't know name brands of diapers, but Huggies and Pampers are the ones I know of. But so he's named after a freaking diaper. This is his birth story, and he's stolen from an orphanage from Santa? This is like a nightmare ready to happen.
Well, he wasn't stolen. He was a stowaway.
Wow, okay. This is true. Anyway, he crawls into that freaking bag. Can someone call protective services, please?
Girl.
Good God.
Yeah, got myself.
Get yourself.
My service is not great in here.
I'll have to wait for another time.
Okay, so let's move on to more negligence of Buddy the elf. So one thing I noticed is, how is this big person living in an elf world? Like, they make him appropriate clothing, like it fits him. However, he sleeps in a very small bed. His taking a shower, he could, like, he's doing this thing and like he's in there. Like, how could they not, like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, Santa has clothes on that fits him, and he has, I'm sure, proper seating, and I'm sure his bed is big and cushy because it's Santa, but no, not Buddy.
Not Buddy.
He doesn't get that.
Yes.
Yeah, not Buddy.
And I want to talk about some self-esteem issues that I picked up on Buddy, especially like when he was making that etch sketch and he wasn't like getting it right, and well, he was getting it, but just in a slower pace, and he basically calls himself a cotton-headed, ninny muggins?
Ninny muggins.
I'm a cotton-headed ninny muggins.
Cotton-headed nitty muggins. Cotton-headed nitty muggins.
Yeah, and he's like, it seems like everyone has the same talents but me. So that's that negative self-talk. That's that stinking thinking. That's you setting yourself up to have low self-esteem and to just be down on yourself.
Aw, poor Buddy and his low self-esteem. So on that note a little bit, so due to the fact that he wasn't producing up to the standards of the other elves, they demoted him to do the Jack in the Box. So you have this scene of him like, do
Special elves work.
and then he has a startle reflex. So, I mean, hello, poor Buddy. He's just trying to do his job, and like these little clown things pop out at him at all times.
So I pick up on symptoms of anxiety, and of course, like the low self-esteem, as we've talked about. Yeah. Later, he hears a conversation, and he learns that he is not an elf.
Well, if he hasn't figured out he's a human by now, I don't think he ever will.
Of course, you knew that, I knew that, but Buddy didn't know that. He learns that he's not an elf and that he's a human, and now we enter in the portion of the movie where Buddy gains an all-out identity crisis.
Eek. I mean, I've heard of baby mama drama, but Buddy had a who's my daddy type of drama.
Hey, buddy, want to pick some snowberries?
Not now, Arctic Puffin.
Like, that's a whole new, maybe not a whole new category, but people with daddy issues, sometimes this can fall under that. And that's Buddy. My heart goes out to him.
Poor Buddy. Papa Elf tells Buddy the news of who his real dad is.
I then proceeded to tell Buddy of how his father had fallen in love when he was very young with a beautiful girl named Susan Wells, and how Buddy was born and put up for adoption by his mother, and how she had later passed away.
He learns that his mom is dead. Again, more probably trauma he doesn't know how to deal with. And so Santa just says, "Hey, buddy, why don't you go to New York to go find your dad?" And I don't know. I don't think Santa sets him up very well, because he's giving advice on Buddy to New York, and he gives him advice on, like,
What's it like?
Well, there are some things you should know. First off, you see gum on the street, leave it there. It's not free candy. Second, there are like 30 Ray's pizzas. They all claim to be the original, but the real one's on 11th. And if you see a sign that says Peep Show, that doesn't mean that they're letting you look at presents before Christmas.
not eating gum and not to watch peep shows because that's not about something else, it's about gifts. And I don't know, he just, his advice on gum is just ridiculous. I mean, this kid should really use some good advice, like, you know, wear gloves, wear hat, like, bring supplies, you're in the freaking winter. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, The thing is, he gets sent off to, of all places, the concrete jungle. Like, that's negligence. Again, I'm still waiting for my call to go through. But good grief. Like, Santa, you tell him not to, like, chew gum that's already been chewed. I mean, yes, that's disgusting, great advice, but also a very neglectful advice. There's more to life than not just chewing gum that's already been used.
Obviously, this was before 2020, because none of us would be chewing somebody else's gum right now.
Even before 2020. Jesus.
Gross. So as Buddy's walking to New York, again, he goes through all these little scenes, and he's probably going through some separation anxiety because he just left Papa Elf and Santa and all his elf friends, and he sees this beautiful raccoon. We see him walking in the scene, and we have pine trees. It's a beautiful scene, right? He's like, "Oh, does someone need a hug?"
Hey! What's your name? My name's Buddy. Does someone need a hug? I just wanted a hug!
Well, the freaking, like, raccoon attacked his jugular, like, knocked him down, and then, I mean, does this raccoon have rabies? We may never know. I don't know.
This is my rule. All raccoons have rabies. Period.
That is a good therapy talk tip, Pauline.
Hey.
Just avoid the raccoons. Oh, I have a raccoon hat. I should have been put that on.
That's you should have, Davy Crockett.
I should have.
Ooh, Texas history.
So he runs into this raccoon. Okay, so this is the first time I really think about, like, Elvis walking here? Santa has a sleigh, and he's making this kid walk? I mean, again, we have lots of issues. And poor Buddy, just like, "Hey, buddy, you just go away. We're just not even, we're over you."
Yeah, just have a good life. And something I notice and pick up pretty quickly, especially the raccoon scene, is Buddy has a bit of boundary issues. Like, anything is game on for Buddy, and that speaks to his character. He just wants to be loved and is very loving, right? So, cute and fluffy, he's gonna approach. Gum, he's gonna eat it.
True that. And let's talk a little bit about his obsession with Santa, Pauline. What are you thinking about his obsession with Santa? I'm sure you picked up on that.
I picked up on that, and one song that came to mind, which is not a Christmas song, but was a hit, is "Why Are You So Obsessed With Me?" That's what went through my mind one too many times.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's awesome. So he wants to belong, basically. We're seeing him wants to belong in a non-elf world. He doesn't know how to do it. He sees fake Santas, and it just does not go well.
No.
Later, he gets into the scene where he's going into the toy store area of the department store, and they're like, "Santa's going to be here tomorrow." And he's like, "Santa, I know him." excited. But then when he sees the real Santa, he smells weird, he looks weird, he acts weird, even though he asks him, hey Santa, if you're the real Santa, what did I sing for you on your birthday? He's like, well, happy birthday. He's like, oh.
Who the heck are you?
What are you talking about? I'm Santa Claus.
No, you're not.
Why, of course I am.
Well, if you're Santa, what song did I sing for you on your birthday this year?
Happy birthday, of course.
You're right, you did. But then later on, we go into this all-out brawl, and these kids are watching Elf and Santa just go at it and fight.
He's an imposter!
Yes. Yes. I'm here for a good Santa fight club.
And while you're at it, kids, get your free Get Into Therapy card for free.
Ooh.
If you're watching that crap going down.
Ooh.
I mean,
yes.
God.
So, symptoms: obsessive, he's compulsive. He enters into the fight, flight, or freeze mode pretty instantly when he's triggered, especially by the color red and by the name Santa. Triggered. Another thing I noticed about Buddy is his attention issues. I mean, like squirrel everywhere. So he's impulsive and things like that, right?
Absolutely. So like the scene where there's a lot of scenes, and we don't have enough time today to go over those scenes, but there was a scene where he's bringing this big Christmas tree into the house with his new family, and he's decorating it, and he puts the star on top by taking a giant run, and he hops off the couch, and he's like tackling the tree, but the tree falls down.
What should we put on it first?
Lights!
Oh, good. And then after that?
Ornaments!
What the hell's that?
A Christmas tree!
A Christmas tree?
Buddy dropped it down in the park!
Emily?
How are we gonna get the star on top?
I got it.
We're like, Buddy, like,
Come on, bro.
didn't Papa Elf teach you better than that? I mean, you're a professional Christmas decorator,
Yeah.
and this is what you do? I mean, I don't know.
It's like something. It's interesting. When he was at the North Pole, he behaved differently, and then when he came into the human world, something switched. Where it's like almost like a regression into like this childlike place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But eventually he does do some adulting, Pauline, don't you think? So his dad is putting lots of pressure on him to grow up and be a big boy and to dress like a big boy. And he eventually gets a suit exactly like his dad, Walter Hobbs. So he goes to work with him, and Walter Hobbs is a publisher of children's books who's on the naughty list, which is interesting in itself.
Very.
And Buddy is trying so hard to be professional. You see him as he walks into the office. He's like, hello.
Hey, Walter.
Morning, Jack.
Morning, Jack.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Hobbs.
Sarah.
Good morning, Sarah. It's a nice purple dress. It's very purpley.
Francisco.
Francisco, that's fun to say. Francisco. Hi. Do you remember me?
I do. I didn't recognize you.
I know, I'm in work clothes.
And then later he gets more and more childlike as that scene progresses.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thanks, Deb.
Deb, you have such a pretty face. You should be on a Christmas card.
You just made my day.
And then later on, his dad gets a phone call on his desk, and he dives for it. He's like, Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? Put that down.
Hello.
And we're like, okay, Buddy, well, the suit did not fix your insides. You are still a child inside.
Yeah. Which is okay because his needs were not met as a child, and that's why it shows up in random times, or what would seem random, but Buddy's brain just goes there because that's a coping skill for him.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Pauline, what about his brother? What'd you think of his brother, the child that's in the movie?
Yeah, so that was like one of his positive interactions was with his half brother, which in the beginning it wasn't that positive. Like his brother was just more annoyed with him. But hey, classic. Who is, you know, like you're the only child and then someone else comes in and now you're no longer the only child and you're the youngest child, which is all a flip, right? So I thought it was pretty nice that like Buddy waits on him after school, which someone with like attention issues, he was able to wait for him 5 hours sitting on those steps. Who knows what Buddy did for 5 hours? But
I know, that's crazy.
Yeah, either way, they get into like this snowball fight, which that is such a bonding experience, and that's what that was like a game changer, I thought.
Yeah. Well, and he had his brother just accepting him, and so they were being like kids together, and they're running around, and they went back to the toy store where Buddy apparently worked, but he wasn't working. So yeah, that was huge. So we get into kind of like the end of the movie. So Buddy, like I said in the beginning, Buddy is, his dad's had enough of him, and there's lots of scenes about that. Please watch the movie. I'm skipping a lot and you're going to want to watch it. But at the end of the movie, he's at the bridge and he's looking over the bridge, which reminds me of the movie It's a Wonderful Life. You need to watch that one too. Very different movies, very different genres. But he's looking in there and I'm like, no, Buddy, don't jump. And like I said before, Santa falls from the sky and the clausometer goes up because people are seeing as Santa Claus is coming to town, and he was in town that night, and Santa and Elf are reunited again, and everything is right with the world. And then you know what? Just like most movies, Buddy gets the girl. Yep. My boy Buddy did good in this movie. I liked it. I give it 2 thumbs up.
If I have 5 thumbs, I'll give him 5 thumbs up, but I just have to.
I like that. So, Pauline, what did we decide, since I know I'm ranting and raving about how awesome this movie is, but what, as therapists, putting on our therapist hat, what is he diagnosed with? Let's put on our therapist.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, if you've watched till this point, that must mean you absolutely like this video. Hit like, hit subscribe. Go ahead and share. So as we said, we are gonna consider some diagnoses, and again, we're gonna need to spend more time with Buddy to actually formulate a mental health diagnosis. And so right now, some of the things that we've identified are probably going to be ruled out, meaning the more time we spend with Buddy, we're going to rule out and say, no, he doesn't fit this or meet this criteria. No, he doesn't have that. And we're just going to put it on the side and then confirm a diagnosis. So one that I'm considering is, and it's not any specific type, but I'm thinking he might fall in this category of like anxiety disorder.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And then maybe to rule out, again, we're not going to give them this right away because the movie is an hour and a half, 2 hours long. We can't diagnose somebody that quickly in this situation. So I would say he definitely has some ADD tendencies. So I would look at that. He's very impulsive. He's very out there. He has lots of energy, that guy.
He does. Yeah. And one thing I'm considering too is maybe some type of trauma diagnoses. He's often in the fight, flight, or freeze mode, or very hypervigilant and things like that. Yeah.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Yep. So it looks
Good
like
job.
we did it, Tammy. We were able.
I think so. Pauline, are you in love with this movie as much as I am?
I have to be honest and say no. It's not one of my favorite Christmas movies. I mean, I thought it was cute. However, not one I will go to for the holidays. But we all have our own thing, and I appreciate you sharing this with me. Special.
Yeah. Awesome.
And so we want y'all to have a lovely holiday, and reach out to someone if you're having a hard time. And so leave us a comment below on what your thoughts are on what we did today. We did a psychoanalysis on Buddy the elf. Very interesting, right? So hit like, hit subscribe, and always remember to be kind to yourself. Bye.
Bye.